Lazarus was a friend to Jesus and a brother to Mary and Martha. His story appears in the scripture of John 11:1-44, when a messenger shows up where Jesus was ministering and requests Jesus come immediately to the home of a sick man. Lazarus lived in a nearby town, Bethany, 2 miles southeast of Jerusalem, and was the brother of Mary and Martha. Jesus had previously visited the 3 siblings and had enjoyed the family's hospitality. His sister Mary would sit at the Master's feet and listen to his words. Martha, Mary's sister, complained to Jesus that her sister needed to help her in the kitchen. Luke 10:38-42. According to John, Jesus receives a message that Lazarus is ill and his 2 sisters seek his help. Jesus tells his followers, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Jesus then delays his departure for 2 days. The disciples are afraid of returning to Judea, but Jesus says, "Our friend Lazarus is asleep, but I am going to awaken him." When the apostles misunderstand, he clarifies, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe." When they arrive in Bethany, Lazarus has been dead and buried for 4 days. Before they enter the town, Martha, Lazarus' sister, comes to meet Jesus and tells him, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus assures Martha that her brother will rise again and states, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die." Do you believe this? Martha's affirmation that she does indeed believe. "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who is to come into the world," is only the second time that someone declares Jesus as Son of God, and the first time someone equates him as a Messiah, and all of God's together. The only other time this happens in the entire gospel is in the explanation the author of the gospel gives for writing his gospel at the very end. Upon entering the village, Jesus is met by Mary and the people who have come to console her. Upon seeing their grief and weeping, Jesus is deeply moved. Then, after asking where he was buried, the shortest verse in the 4 Gospels and the entire Bible is found, "Jesus wept." After that, Jesus asks for the stone of the grave to be removed, but Martha interjects that there will be a smell. To which Jesus responds, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Lazarus is mentioned again in the Gospel of John chapter 12. 6 days before the Passover on which Jesus is crucified, Jesus returns to Bethany and Lazarus attends a supper that Martha, his sister, serves. Jesus and Lazarus together attract the attention of many Jews, and the narrator states that the chief priests consider having Lazarus put to death because so many people have come to believe in Jesus on account of his raising Lazarus. The major portion of the well-known and stunning miracle found in the narrative about Lazarus is recounted in John 11:143, with further mentions of Lazarus found in John 12-17. Lazarus was brother to Martha and Mary, and their family lived in Bethany, which was located in Judea, south of the Mount of Olives near Jerusalem. Including the accounts listed above in John, the Bible tells us Jesus visited their home on several occasions. In John 11:5, tells us Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. The word for love used here is agape. Jesus was fond of them and loved them dearly. It is safe to say Lazarus and his sisters were beloved friends. We discover in John 11:1 that Lazarus was ill, which prompted Martha and Mary to send for Jesus. In their message to him, they said, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." Jesus, after he received the news about Lazarus, did what we consider a peculiar thing. He lingered where he was for 2 more days. When Jesus told his disciples they were going to Bethany, they questioned him because the Jews sought to stone him during his previous visit. When he did arrive at Bethany, he found Lazarus had died. Jesus then raised him from the dead. Jesus answers that question in John 11:4. He said, "This illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." If every one of the things Jesus did was put down in ink, the world could not contain the books that could be written. And thanks for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button for our latest video updates.